Hey everybody, what's going on? This is John here with Design Theory. Thank you for joining me for a new show. Today's topic is, who are you uninterrupted? So this topic is kind of near and dear, most like many of the topics and things that we've talked about before. But Nicole and I sometimes get questions about like, how do you guys do it? How do you keep up with different businesses that you guys are running, family, friends, kids, personal, recharging, and all of that stuff? And I will tell you that we don't have the silver bullet to that. We're still working on that daily, and we do that together. We try our best to communicate as much as we can with what's going on and try to prioritize the things that come up as best as we can. Are we doing it perfectly? No. But here are the things that we do, that we practice, that make things a little easier or keep things a little organized, and try to keep us keep away as many interruptions as we can, so that way we're as productive as we can for the amount of time that we're putting into the tasks and projects that we're working on. So the first thing that we do is time blocking. I love time blocking because it almost sets me up to compete with time. I'm very competitive. Some of you may know. And so where time blocking is essentially saying, hey, for this amount of time, I'm going to do this one task. I'm not going to do 50 tasks. I'm not going to do 20 tasks. I'm not going to do 5 tasks. I'm going to do one task, or I'm going to work on one project. And what that does is it makes it to where it's like, hey, maybe for 30 minutes, 25 minutes, 45 minutes, I'm going to focus on this one thing. And at the end of that, or maybe at the beginning of it, I'm going to say, I'm going to focus on this one thing. And I know I'll have enough time within this time block, 35 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever that it is, to get it completed. Or I'm going to be able to take it to a certain level of completion. Maybe I'm going to get this 25% done. I'm going to get this 50% done. And then maybe at the end of that time block, I'm going to go ahead and set up a break and then another time block to finish it out. So I'm going to do this in 2 time blocks or 2 sprints and get this get this project done and get this task done. In some cases, I may use a timer, and I've got this cool app. It's called Forest, and it'll grow a shrub to a tree and so on the more that I use it. But it's essentially just a timer. If you've got a phone, a smartphone, or anything else that's around you, or even a cooking timer, you can turn that dial and set it so that way, hey, for this amount of time, I'm going to just do this one thing. The other thing that I'll do is I'll schedule breaks in between those working sessions or in between those time blocks. And that way when I'm setting that up, say again, I'm doing 25 minutes, 35 minutes, I'm taking about a 5 minute to 10 minute break just for me to recharge, see where I'm at, and then I'll jump back into the next working session sometime, or the next time block. I keep saying working sessions because I meant to start off with this and essentially to say that time blocking is kind of like working sessions, where you can set up time with yourself or with others, maybe colleagues, maybe partners and things like that, where it's like, hey, during this time we're going to have a working session. We're going to work on something together, or we're going to work on something in silos, but we're going to work at the same time, so that way we can kind of keep ourselves accountable to ensuring that we're going to stay productive and not allow for distractions, and only work on this task and be able to maybe talk about the task when we're done with the amount of time that we set. And so in between those sprints, if you will, I'll take those breaks, and then I'll assess where I'm at, recharge. Maybe I'll take a walk for a second. Maybe I'll get something to drink, use a bio break, whatever the case may be. And then I'm ready to go on the next time block, right? Try to document as much as you can when you are working. This may be using a journal app. This may be just, maybe just a scratch pen and pad where you're just documenting what you are doing at the time that you're doing it. And so it's like, hey, for this time block or for this sprint, I'm doing this thing. And then from 8 to 9, I'm doing this, 9 to 10, I'm doing this, and so on. Just write those things out, so that way at the end of your day, you can kind of see, hey, this is where my time was actually spent. This is what I actually got done. And even if you do have interruptions that come up, document those too, so that way you can see, hey, this is how much time this took when I got this phone call from a client, or I got distracted from my kids, or I started playing on my phone and started watching videos on social media, whatever that the case is, right? Document all of that, so that way, again, at the end of the day, you see where you're at. The next thing that I want to mention is doing routines. And so when you set up your day, especially after you've documented things and after you've set up maybe sprints of time or working sessions, you're going to want to see, hey, how can I create a routine out of this? Do I start my day in doing these certain things, these certain routines? And maybe it's like I start my day with a cup of coffee and then I take a walk just to clear my head, or I start my day with some tea and I write out all of the tasks that I want to get done, or I start my day with a team meeting with my team, just to so that way they're aware of what's going on, and then it's a daily stand up, for example. Whatever that your routines are throughout the day, kind of set those up and stick to them. Do them at the same times each day. Do them at the same times with whomever you're doing them with, if there's others that are involved, just so that way you can build the habit of that. And then that way, while you're doing those routines, again, keeping it to being productive, keeping it to the purpose of what they need to be. They don't need to be drawn out or long or anything like that. They just are what they are, and you're doing the same things each time that routine comes up. If that's a daily routine, weekly routine, monthly routine, whatever that it is. You're going to want to set up weekly goals, and these should be measurable goals. So in other words, to say, hey, I've got to make 20 sales calls, right? And so I know I have to make 20. So now there's measurable. And if the end of the week I make 19, well, that's pretty good. That's about, 98% of what I wanted to do to complete this goal. But if I look at another week and I did, let's say 5 calls, then I did not get close to the goal that I set out to do. And so I might want to look back at my documentation and what I did each day for that week, and or even look at what I set up in terms of my sprints to see, hey, where did this break down? How did I not get enough time to make these 20 phone calls, right? Or to make these 20 sales calls? How did that follow? How did that not happen? And then adjust that for your next week. So that way, again, in your routine, if you have routines that you set up to do these, then you're even more efficient. You refine that, right? The first time you're doing any of this isn't going to be perfect right out the gate. It's going to take some time, but over time, you'll refine your process. You'll refine your routines. You refine, all of these ways that you're doing business or doing work, so that way you're much more efficient and using the best amount of the time that you're set forth. You're also going to want to end each day with a reflection time, and this could be anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. Totally fine. But really, what this is to say, hey, now that I'm done, it's the end of the day. Before I walk away from everything, how do I feel about my day? And this part of that could also be you giving yourself a little bit of praise. It's like, hey, I started out the day and I had this really big project that I had to do, or I had this really big frog that I had to swallow, and I got that done early, and that helped me to do the rest of my tasks with a level of confidence and maybe an upbeat amount of energy to be able to finish out the rest of my day. And so I feel great about that. Or maybe I didn't have the greatest day, and I kind of pushed some tasks aside that I really should have done, and did some other things that maybe they were on my list, but not on my list for today. And I really avoided some things that I really shouldn't have avoided. So kind of being honest with yourself, right? And so, look at the end of the day, make some reflection points, and then adjust yourself so that way the next day, hey, let's take care of these things, and let's be even better. Or next day, let's do the same thing that we did today, because today was fantastic. Last thing I'll say on this is you're gonna want to unplug and disconnect. More times than not, I'll tell you, for us, we kind of carry work with us, and so if we're gonna go to the store and maybe go do some grocery shopping, we're talking about maybe some tasks and some things throughout the day, maybe some brief debriefs from some meetings, and that we really should be unplugged and disconnected from everything, so that way we can enjoy the moments that we're in for the time that we're spending. For some, that might be embracing your loved ones, your family, your friends, whomever that it is that you care about the most. Unplug and spend some time with them, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to mean that that's the whole rest of your day, but it could mean maybe a couple of phone calls to some friends and family. It could be taking your family out or your significant other for a walk, dinner, who knows? You make that up, whatever makes sense to you, but try to make that a routine as well. So that way your significant other or your family, they have an expectation of, at the end of the day, what does it look like you spending time with them. The example day, I would say, that we typically may do or try to do or work towards doing consists of a couple things. There's nothing serious or nothing complicated, I should say. Ideally, you're going to start off with maybe start your day a little early. So maybe if you typically you're out of bed and kind of starting off your day at around 7 7:30, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, something like that. Maybe start off your day, 60 to 90 minutes early. So that way there's some time that you can set up that's just for you. During that time, maybe you do like a 30-minute exercise. Maybe you do something to kind of like boost your energy and really get the blood flowing. And then after that, maybe take about 10-15 minutes, do some mindfulness practices. And that might be meditating, that may be praying, and maybe some yoga, whatever that you want to try or whatever that you may be used to. But take some time to just do some mindfulness practices and reaffirm yourself. Take that time to tell yourself that, hey, you got this, kind of coach yourself, if you will, for the day and get ready for it. And that way, when you do start on your tasks, you have, a better mind coming into it, especially if the day before was a tougher day. All right. And then the next thing I would say is you're going to want to put your phone in do not disturb mode. I've got an iPhone, and so we've got focus modes that we can set up on our phones. And so I set up a focus mode, whether it's for a working session, set it up focus mode for meetings. I have different focus modes for various different opportunities. And they're helpful because I'm able to set specifically what I want to come through in terms of notifications or in terms of phone calls and things like that. So that way, only the things that I need to see or maybe urgent, I allow to come through. Maybe it's like phone calls or messages from my family and close friends, and everything else is going, do not disturb, and maybe going straight to voicemail. And even my notifications, they're not even showing up, right? I don't have the little red dots with the numbers of things showing up on my icons, and like all of that is just out. And again, going back to the routines, maybe during that sprint for 45 minutes during my break, then maybe I turn things off and then I look to see, hey, what did I miss? Do I need to follow up with anybody? Use that time to catch back up if I need to. And then otherwise go right back into do not disturb mode. So that way I can focus on the task at hand. Now, when you're looking at your tasks for your ideal day and you're writing these out, if you're writing them out or putting them in your app, you really want to focus on revenue generating tasks, really first and foremost. These are tasks that are going to push the needle forward for your business, right? And then after that, you're going to want to look at big picture tasks and then high impact tasks for your business. And then lastly, probably, delegate the rest of the tasks that you have on your list to somebody else. Maybe that's a freelancer, maybe that's a virtual assistant, maybe that's a colleague or a teammate or somebody else that's within your organization or on your team that you can say, hey, these are some tasks that I've got to get done that I want to see done, but I don't need to do these. I'd like for you to do these. That way, again, you can focus on the bigger picture task. You can focus on, revenue generating tasks or tasks that really need your hands and feet to be involved because it needs to be you. Maybe you're the brand. Maybe you're the person that's going to be able to close a deal on something or work on, again, bigger picture, right? And then lastly, between each of your sprints, depending on how long they're going, if you're doing 45-minute sprints, make sure during your day that you're taking at least a 10-minute break. All right. Don't run all day or with several hours, consecutively where you're working on something and you don't take any breaks. You're going to burn yourself out. Right. And so using those times to have breaks really do I'll say for me, definitely set up like a little bit of a competition mindset because it's like I'm looking at my timer going down and I know that I've got maybe 5 minutes left and I've got a few more things to do. And that's totally fine. During my break, maybe I'll write down those few more things I need to do. And then now my next working session or my next sprint, maybe then is when I'm continuing those or I'm saving that for the following day or maybe, later on in the day so that I can knock those things out. And then I make sure that I take that break so that way I can do some breathing exercises, maybe take a walk, stretch for a little bit, stand up, if we're sitting down, a lot of the time. But it's very important that you do that. And throughout all of that, also, you're going to want to make sure that you fuel your body. Take some snacks or some breaks. Or when you are taking breaks, take some time to make sure that you eat. Step away from your desk. A lot of us will do like a lunch while we work, and that's not really a lunch, nor is it really fully working. But in our minds, we may think that we're being a little bit more productive or taking away or giving ourselves more time to get something done while we're eating and typing or eating and trying to do some work at the same time. Um, look at trying to, when you are having snacks, look at things that will give you energy and try to keep away from things that may take away energy or may give you less energy towards the end of the day, like high carb lunches that might give you those afternoon lulls, right? That we're familiar with, where it's like, oh my gosh, I got to go get this other cup of coffee because for some reason I can take a nap right now. And for some of you, if you can, maybe schedule in a power nap for one of your breaks. And if your power nap is like a 15-minute, power nap, schedule that in. Again, put your phone on do not disturb. Pull over on your couch or someplace and take that power nap. Set your timer, and then that way when you wake up, all right, feel ready to go, and I'm jumping right back into things. Practice all of this, I would say, for about a week. See what you like, see what you don't like, see what works for you, and add those into your routines or create those routines. And I would guarantee you that if you do this for a good, I'd say about 3 to 4 weeks, you'll essentially be changing the way that you work and the way that your ideal day is, and you'll definitely keep away a lot of interruptions. So I'm trying to say, and so that way you're much more productive. You'll value your time. And then one of the coolest things I've seen with protecting your time, especially when it comes to interruptions, is you value your time, and as you value your time, others will value your time as well. So that way, when they do ask for your time, they're going to make sure that they're getting the most out of it. They're not going to be late. They're not going to forget it, or they're going to ask it when they absolutely need it, and not ask it just for the sake of taking up some of your time, and maybe talking about arbitrary things that really aren't to the point of what they really need to meet with you. And for some, it even is putting some money behind your time, where it's like, hey, if I'm gonna allow this time to be used, it's got to be paid time. If we're gonna do a consultation, this consultation is no longer a free consultation. This is a paid consultation. And so when those people show up for those paid consultations, be it client or be it colleagues, whatever that it is, they're going to make sure that they get their money's worth, right? Because they're not going to want it to go to waste. And so they're looking at the time just like you're looking at the time, right? So kind of think about that, put that up there, and let us know what works for you. That's all that I have for you all today. Thank you for watching. If you have others that you or other tips that you want to add to this that worked for you, please add them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, and love to hear what's working for you, so that way it could help not only us, but probably help somebody else who's watching this too. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.